All right, you guys, welcome. Welcome. It's Taco Tuesday. It is March 30th, and we are finishing up our two-part fundraiser series tonight. So, last week, we talked about why you would want to do a fundraiser. We talked about who might need a fundraiser. We talked about, all the rules about fundraisers and all that kind of stuff. So, tonight, we're going to dig into you got that information. I challenge you to make a list of groups or individuals or organizations that might be interested in fundraisers. And so you've got your list, hopefully. And if you don't, you still have time to make it. And so now we're going to talk about now what? Like, let's put that plan into action. So I want to give you a couple disclaimers. Number one, I want you to know that the most important thing that I want you to take away is I think you all overcomplicate fundraisers. I think I was talking to Aspen Calhoun about this earlier tonight, and she said, I think people just get so wrapped up in the details of it, and they think it's this very complicated, you have to do this step-by-step process, and they think there's like this rule book, and there's not. And I agree. A fundraiser is just a different way of people ordering Scentsy. So I don't want you guys to get so wrapped up in what a fundraiser is, because it's really not that complicated. Number two, I want you to remember that often groups do plan fundraisers months out. So now is the time to be thinking not just about your fundraisers for now in the summer, because some people might not have thought about that. Different groups weren't planning to, they weren't planning on the world opening up or starting to open up. And so you still have opportunities for spring and summer fundraisers, but I want you to know you also have opportunities now to be booking your fall fundraisers. So like when you're talking about school PTOs and like soccer programs in the fall and scouts and all that kind of thing, they're booking for fall too right now. So don't forget that. All right. The last thing I want you to tell you up front about fundraisers is we're going to share some forms. We're going to share some details with you. Some of the stuff we will upload onto our pages afterwards. But I want you to know that we can give you forms and we can give you flyers, but really what works the best is relationships and conversations. So we'll give you that kind of stuff. But just if there's something that we don't have that for, don't think you can't be successful without it, because the heart of this is, having a real conversation. So when I tell you, well, I don't have a blanket letter I use for something, that's because I personalize the conversation based on the organization. So, all right, so you've got your list. Now, do you want to contact them? Now, what are you going to do? So first thing you're going to do is you're going to reach out and contact them if you haven't. It's always best to have a relationship with them, but if you don't, obviously we got to work around that. So if you don't, it's going to be a matter of finding out who to have the conversation with. Okay, it's important you have the right conversation. So for example, if you are wanting to a fundraiser for a school PTO, there's probably someone in the PTO or PTA who's responsible for fundraising. And so you don't want to have that conversation necessarily with the treasurer or the secretary. You want to have it with a fundraising person. And honestly, that's just a matter of picking up the phone and calling and asking, or that's a matter of getting on their website or their Facebook group and finding that name and starting the conversation with that person. Okay. Do not assume that anyone is going to read a letter that you send them. Do not assume that anyone's going to read your email. If you think that, oh, if I want to do 10 fundraisers, I'm going to send out 10 letters and I'm going to get 10 people that are going to read my letters and then they're going to book 10 fundraisers, your expectations are off. Okay. How many of you let mail sit in your mailbox for quite a long time without opening it? How many of you throw out junk mail or what you perceive to be junk mail? So have the right expectation about that. Same with email. I was talking to someone the other day and he said, well, I emailed you 7 hours ago. And I said, right. I said, email's about the last thing that I check now. I said, if you texted me, I would have gotten it right away. Because he was frustrated. He needed a response and I didn't respond quickly enough to him. And I was like, well, that was the problem. You emailed me. Like, I haven't even gotten the email today. Like, so just consider that. Okay. So you've got this list. You're going to reach out to the people, but how are you going to reach out to them? Well, you're going to make a phone call or you're going to know the contact, you're going to reach out to them. I like to ask if we can meet. Now, if you're in a COVID world, you're probably not going to meet. Can we Zoom? Do you have a monthly, like say you're talking to PTO or a booster club for high school sports or whatever the organization is, or a band booster club or whoever the group is? Do you all meet once a month? If you meet once a month, can I join the next meeting and can we talk about this? Okay. And those groups are still meeting. Often they're meeting by Zoom now. So you're going to do that. And then you don't need to have a huge presentation. People are like, what am I going to tell this group? Well, you're going to tell them how you can help them earn some money. So don't overthink what you're going to tell them. You don't need to have this spiffy packet. You don't need to have this big PowerPoint. You don't need to, give them all these stats. What you do is you need to tell them, this is what you do. This is a viable, important part of your business, and you're here to help them raise some money, and tell them how. So I'm going to walk you through some things that I think you should tell them. You might want to have a pen and paper. I'd recommend that. So what information should you share when you're having a conversation with someone? Well, you're going to tell them how you can help them to raise money. Okay. Now, how you word that is up to you, but it doesn't have to be this blown up, overthought presentation. You're going to tell them how a Sensi fundraiser works. I'm going to recommend you give them 1 or 2 ways that they could do a fundraiser. If you give them a list of 15 different ways they could do a fundraiser, you're going to overwhelm them. We were reading Stories That Stick, our Kendra Hall book, for our book club, and she was talking about how too many choices overwhelm people, right? Give them, they take the easy option. It's like why we offer a 6-pack of bars, right? We've got our spring 6-pack or our pumpkin 6-pack or whatever the case may be. We do that because it's easy. And they don't have to think. They're like, oh, yes, 6 pumpkin bars. Let's do it. Same deal with a fundraiser. If you give them 20 different options, oh, we could do this or this or this or this or this. They don't know what half those things are, and you're going to confuse them. So give them 1 or 2 options. Don't make the decision difficult for them. You're going to tell them how long a fundraiser lasts. It's important that they know that if they commit to doing a fundraiser, they're not committing to like some 3-month thing with their students or with their players or whatever. How long does it last? So how can you help them raise money? How does it work? 1 or 2 options. How long does it last? How much can they earn? Now, I'm going to tell you what I don't do. And there are some people that do this. So I'm not saying it's a horrible idea. I'm telling you, I don't do it. And I'm going to tell you why. I have never put time and effort into putting together a big packet, explaining to them with spreadsheets and charts and that kind of thing, how much they can earn. Oh, if you sell this, you can earn this. If you sell this much, you can make this. Now, there are people that do that. People will make these big charts. If you sell 20 of this, you're going to make this much. That's fine if you want to take the time to do that. But I've never done that. I've done at least 100 fundraisers. I've never had anyone ask me for a breakdown like that. They want to know the bottom line, how much you can earn. Well, our products range from $3 to $150 or $2 to $150 or whatever our current catalog breakdown is, right? And you're going to earn, and then I tell them what percent I'm going to give them, which is for me usually 30% because I'm always over 2,000 for the month. And I don't do a fundraiser to make money. I give back all of my commission. Now, I'm not recommending you do 30%. If you're an essential consultant, you only make 20. If you sell over 2,000, you're going to make 25%. I'm not telling you to do 30%. I'm telling you what I do. Okay. So then they can do the math themselves, right? When I see those charts, sometimes they start with they can make $20, and then on the high end, maybe they make 20,000. Well, they're not necessarily going to look across that. They're kind of going to look in the middle or to the left side. And if you're showing them that they can make $20 as an organization, that's not really motivating. So that's one of the things that I typically don't do. So if they ask me for it, I would find one because there's a million of them out there, and I would share them. I tell them what I do to make it successful and easy for them. I tell them when I meet with them, I make this really simple for you. I'm going to put together the packets. I'm going to put your information on a website, and I'm going to give you a link that you can share. When the orders come in, I'm going to sort them and organize them. I'm going to give them back to you by student or participant. I tell them how I'm going to make it easy for them. Okay. Because they want to know that how much work is this going to be for me? So I'm going to tell them how I'm going to make it easy. Um, I'm going to tell them what they get, what the participants get. So this is what your participants are going to get. They're going to get a fundraiser envelope, and here's what's going to be inside. And then I take an example, or on Zoom, I'll show them an example of what they're going to get. And I show them, and then I tell them how they order and how they pay and how they're going to get their product, and then when I'm going to pay them. So I'm going to tell them how I can help them raise money, how it works, giving them just a couple of options, how long it lasts, how much they can make. And that's not, oh, you can make $40,000. That's, I'm just going to tell them our catalog prices range from this to this. And I'm going to donate this percent of, this percent of retail sales. I don't ever say, I'm going to give you 100% of my commission or something like that. I always say, I'm going to give you 25% or 30% or whatever figure you're going to throw in there, right? Of retail sales. Because when I start saying a percent of my commission, that's confusing to them. I tell them how long it lasts, how much they can earn. I'm going to tell them how I'm going to make it easy. I'm going to tell them what the participants are going to get for stuff, how they can order and pay, how the products will be delivered, and how and when I will pay them. And then so that's what I'm going to share when I'm talking to them about why they want to do a fundraiser. And then afterwards, so say we're in a non-COVID world, and I'm going to go into the school and I'm going to pitch this to the PTO at a PTO meeting, PTA at a PTA meeting. Then I'm going to follow up with an email with all of these details in writing, just a follow up of the conversation we had today. Thank you for letting me speak to your group. Just to follow up, I want to put in writing the information I told you. And then I'm going to give them all of that because I am obligated to have proof in writing, right? So that's what I'm going to do. And then they also have it to reflect back on as well. So you make this pitch. It turns out great. Every organization wants to do a fundraiser. They're telling their friends want to do fundraisers. Suddenly you have all these fundraisers on the books. So now it's time to start preparing. You've got your dates, you need to give yourself a window of opportunity that you don't want to say, yeah, I can start your fundraiser tomorrow. And because it does take some time to prepare for a fundraiser. And I have had groups say, can we start tomorrow? And I've been like, yeah. And then I at one point I recall, and it was a PTA, and I then called all my friends in San Diego and Southern California who are consultants and asked them how many order forms, product, showcase brochures, and fundraiser envelopes they had, because I did not have. I said, I can't do tomorrow. How about we do Monday? But then I still needed to acquire the stuff because there wasn't enough time to ship. So I like to give myself a 2 to 4 week window. I will try to jump through hoops if they want it sooner though. Okay. So you have the fundraiser. Now you're going to start preparing. And what are you going to give them? What are you going to give the participants? So let's just pretend it's a non-COVID world and that we're doing fundraisers where we're going to give them a packet. Participants are going to get a packet. Maybe they are it's a cheer team, or it's an elementary school, or it's whatever. I'm going to share some ideas of what I do, and Heather Ray is going to share a couple ideas of what she's done as well. So what you're going to give them is going to depend upon what kind of fundraiser you do. You need to figure out what your supplies are, and you need to get them ordered though. And the one other question that you need to ask the organization is, and I don't care where you live, you will be surprised. Do they need bilingual packets? Do they need only English, or do they need Spanish packets too? Now, let me tell you, I don't speak Spanish. I at one point tried to get someone to translate all of my things into Spanish packets. And she was, that was her native language. It still was a little bit of a disaster. So my literature that's included is in English, like my information sheet. but I do try and give Spanish catalogs or showcase brochures and Spanish order forms if they request it. Okay. So you're going to want to ask that because you might need to order a pack of those. Heather, you want to share an example of what you include kind of for you want to talk about yeah, you want
Sure.
to?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so do you want me to share like what I include in like when they're maybe deciding on which kind of
Yeah,
fundraiser to
you
do,
you
or
you
like,
share
okay,
anything you want.
okay. So um, for whenever I present, like mail something to someone or whatever, and I've always like talked to them and established a relationship before. Like I don't just randomly find, organizations and think I'm going to send them information and get a fundraiser. So, it's usually like a customer or someone I know beforehand, and we talk about fundraisers. And if they ask for more info, we talked about it a little bit, and then I will mail them something or take them something in person. And I just use like these little clear sheet protectors just to kind of keep it all in here. And I put my business card in there, and I'll usually add Karen, you terrified me. It just showed my
Sorry,
face.
will you hold that up again? Sorry, I wanted to.
Yes. I
Yeah.
was like, what? Where did Karen go? So it's just a little sheet protector, from that goes in binders, and it's got this sheet used to be in the workstation. I'm not sure if it still is. It's just like a dear fundraising coordinator, like a kind of a general overall, like what is Cincy type thing, and they're a member of the Association of Fundraising, all that stuff. So I put my business card in there. It's about the only time I really use a business card that I feel like anymore. And let's see here. I'll get this out. I usually give like a cent circle out too, just as a freebie to whoever I'm talking to about this, just so they can kind of have like a little something to go ahead and use. And then I usually like to stick with two different types of fundraisers, either cent circle fundraisers or the whole catalog, just because I like to keep it simple. And sometimes I prefer whole catalog fundraisers because I hate like limiting what we can sell when there's so much. And um, you may have somebody that wants something, and then you've got a kid saying, well, I'm just selling circles, so and they may not like circles. So I like to do whole catalogs preferably, but if it's like younger kids or like a lot of kids, or maybe they're not local and they really don't have the organization help to do it, then cent circles work pretty good. So I have like a little cover letter that I put in there for the cent circles, and it just tells them how much they would be and what they would be selling. And I have this all in my Google Drive that I think Karen shared for all of you guys. And then so you can use that and edit it if you would like. But it pretty much just tells like, that they would be selling 6 packs of cent circles for X amount of money. So that they would know, what they were doing. And then this is the fundraising order form that was in the workstation, and you could add the names, but lately I've had trouble with that, getting them to turn sideways. It's not always the most user friendly. So there's lots of different things like that are provided that you can go on in the fundraiser group that Karen shared, and you can edit your cents. And I like to just choose like what my best sellers are usually, with like a good variety. So they see that like this is what you would get with basically like a cent circle fundraiser. So they can see this is what the kid would be carrying around, or the participant, and it's pretty simple like that. So the next thing that's in there is talking about the whole catalog fundraiser, and it just tells like how much percentage I'm giving back, because they're going to want to know that, right? And just like a little generalized thing about Cincy. And this is the same cover letter that I include in the packets. So if I'm doing like a full fundraiser, I use the envelopes that Karen had. That are they still in the store? It's been a while since I've bought any because I have so
Yeah, they
many.
came back
Or
with
did they
it. Isn't
discontinue?
this version, it's a newer version.
Mm-hmm.
It's like got some
Okay.
cute little colored icons, like,
Yeah, I
but it
thought
was,
they
I didn't
put
check
the
today
others
if it
out,
was there,
and
but it was there
yeah.
this.
So those work really well because they just help you look professional, like whenever you're handing these packets out to people. And because we've all had like kids or somebody that we know come home from school selling a fundraiser, and they have envelopes so they can kind of collect the money and all the other stuff that they get. That way it just keeps it in one place for the parent so the parent can tote it to work, or they can, go door to door, whatever. So this is the same letter they would get basically. And I try to keep it simple, like if there's tax, tax information, how to do payment, like checks, the deadline, all of that information that you figure out beforehand needs to be like in that letter, so that whenever the parents like looking and saying, to see how long do we have to sell this, or anything like that, then they have those answers and they're not like clueless as to, how much are we getting from this, and is there tax, or is the price including tax, or is there shipping? All of those kind of details you can cover in that cover letter and just kind of make it simple. And of course, adding your information, that way they can contact you if they have any questions. And then for this is super old packet, so you guys can see, I don't even know what year this is from. Maybe 2016. That's how old this packet is. But it was like an extra that I found today. But I use the showcase brochure, so I actually have a new one, so I'll use that. But this is what I use for my whole catalog fundraisers. So it's just, if you've never seen these before, they work great. They have everything laid out. They are way less expensive than catalogs, and it makes for like a quick look through for someone, like a kid going to their parents' work and selling something. It's got all the scent descriptions and then what everything comes in and the prices on the back. So it's super simple. I typically don't do the bundle and saves automatically just because it's not in this. Some people do, some people don't. I think you do, don't you, Karen?
It depends upon the group, but I typically do include a
Yeah.
bundle and save sheet because I can usually upsell them with it.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people don't ever look at it, so they still submit
Mhm.
like 6 bars individually for
Right.
$36 and that kind of thing. And that does give you the chance
Mhm.
to combine better when you
Yeah.
enter those orders. But I would
Yeah.
say I think it's about 50-50 on what people do. And it really
Yeah.
depends upon the group for me.
Yeah, there's always like if you do want to include the bundle and save, there's always like an image. You can print it straight out from the catalog that has the bundle and save options that you can just slide right in there. And then some people pay attention to it and some don't. But I just typically don't send it. And then whenever I submit the fundraiser, I can bundle things because it's usually going under the organization's name. So that gives me a chance to like use some rewards around or whatever, and just get them kind of extra commission, for example. And then I include I do like a copy of the order form type thing, and I highlight all of them, the information that I need, because especially like in whole catalog fundraisers, you will get people who it never fails, or I do. I get people who say that they want, something like, let's see, like a Luna counter clean. Well, we don't have Luna and counter clean anymore. So you need to contact somebody or something, like maybe the person that sold to that person, just to get some clarification. And sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, and just, you can kind of make your best judgment there. But that's what I include in my like possibility kind of thing, like what options they can do. And a couple of fundraisers that I have done before that I really like to do, like I said, the whole catalog fundraisers are my favorite. So I used the envelopes that Karen shared, and each kid is going, or person is going to get the showcase brochure. And then I usually do like probably 5 sheets of these order forms. There's 2 to a thing that way, and that usually does them plenty, like each person. And then with the group organizer or whatever, then I give her like extra packets or extra material. So if there's like a rock star seller, which there usually is, a few of them, then they can come and request more. That way you're not just like giving out tons of material, and these packets aren't huge for these kids who, may need like 5 order forms or whatever. So I do that, and then all of the information is kind of presented in there. And they have like the clear deadline. And like Karen said, if I'm going to present like a big fundraiser like this, I'm going to try to make sure that I have all of the products in hand before starting, like the supplies, like the showcase brochures, stuff like that, because there's nothing worse than like agreeing to do a fundraiser and then you're like, yeah, we'll start tomorrow, but I don't have any books to give you. I don't have, so that thinking about that whenever you're setting one up, making sure that you're prepared is good. And with an online or with the whole catalog fundraiser or with any fundraiser that I do, I always offer to set up an online link just because everyone knows people that's not nearby or whatever, and they can still order and support like grandparents, any family members, friends. And now with social media, it's so much easier sharing a link to people who may not be that someone that your parents work with or someone that you see on the daily nearby. So they may not be ordering and having it shipped to the local fundraiser person, but they can still order online, and then I give them the same amount of commission with the sales. So that just goes under their online party link. And so my favorite has been like schools and stuff like that. There's just so many kids usually. And if you can get one through a school, it's just like, it's great. One of my favorites was when we had the custom warmers that we did. Do you remember those? They were really awesome. And I did a high school down here, and it was crazy because I went to one of their booster club meetings, which is a good time if you can find who's on the booster club, stuff like that, and ask them when one of their meetings are, and then just go talk to them. It's crazy. And then bring them free Scentsy to the meeting, and they're smelling it, and they're like, oh, this is great. People want it. It's just like, I guess if you were selling Krispy Kreme donuts and you're bringing donuts for everybody, they're going to be like, yes. So I went to the meeting and I just kind of told them about the warmers and the program that we had at the time. And they just bought like $3,000 of warmers on the spot. Like I didn't even have to just, collect the orders and then process it. They just bought it up front from me. And then they would sell them at basketball games and they got the commission from it. So that was really cool. I miss that program. That would be something neat in the future to have. But yeah, and then before Christmas, I did a whiff box fundraiser. So that's when we had the little gnomes. If you were a consultant in December, we had the little gnome buddy clips in our whiff box. And that was like a really cool little whiff box exclusive that we had. So I have a few church groups that I do fundraisers with throughout the year. And I think they usually like to switch it up too. Like sometimes they'll do scent circles and then with an online party link, of course. And then sometimes they do whole catalog. And this time it's been like a crazy year anyway. So this year we decided to do a whiff box fundraiser, just like it was like we literally had we started at the beginning of December. So it was like an online type thing. I did mail them the stuff super fast, and they collected some orders in person. And then the whole event, we set up an event online on Facebook, and the whole event was just focused on sharing the whiff box. And so people really focused on that, and it was kind of like a fun little mystery surprise that they got. And the files for that, Christina Steinberg made just like a cute little order form. And um, the way she did it, and I usually like to go by like whatever someone else has kind of already laid out, like, just like with the scent circles, most people do like an upcharge of $20 for the bundles, and then they make $7 back on a bundle. So with this, she had on her order forms that it was like $35 for a whiff box. We pay 30, so there's like the automatic upcharge of $5, which will go to the organization, and then we get 25 PRV. So at certified, you're making like $6.25 a box on them, and then you can do the math and figure out how much you want to give back, just like the others percentage. But you can give anywhere from like $8 to $10 back, depending on how many you sell. And then with the online party link, you can, give back a percentage of the sales from that. But that was really fun. And then it kind of got me a few new like whiff box fanatics, that didn't previously, they didn't know anything about Scentsy before, and it kind of provided them like a good little sampling. So those are a lot of fun, and those are really simple. Like I said, if you're needing one that wasn't like, if maybe you're not local and these things are going to get shipped to the group organizer, and they're just going to need to say like, okay, this lady got 2 boxes, this one got 1, this one got 5. It's just kind of like doing donuts and stuff. They're all standard and it's easy to divide out and stuff. So things like that um, are really important when you're considering like what kind of fundraiser best suits them. Now, I have had some people that aren't local who they loved to sort all of the Scentsy. Like they did a whole catalog fundraiser and they know that I'm not around to sort it when it comes in, which I would love to be. But I always send them like my business cards to put in every order. I make sure that they have plenty of customer order bags so they're not like just, giving people their stuff in their hands and they're having to carry it around, of course. But I provide like all the supplies for them to wrap up the fundraiser and make it look as neat and nice as possible. Like ribbon, name tags for the fundraiser, my stickers, but also like, and I coach them through this and like help them make sure that they've got it, and I make sure before we do this that they do not mind agreeing to do this. And then I always reward them like heavily with Recency for agreeing to do this, booking a fundraiser like that, and helping execute the delivery and all that. So, and that's another thing too, like with the schools or anything with kids, with any fundraiser, it's just like a party order, like Karen said. You're still going to have the host rewards, and the host is, the organizer or whatever. And I like to give those, like the half price rewards. You're going to probably get, well, we know you're going to get at least 2 with the perpetual reward and the half price, if not 3 or 4. So I use those for prizes. And so I have like that included in the little letter. It depends on like the age group of the kids or adults doing it, but like kids, they love picking out like a free Scentsy buddy of choice or something like that. Some pick out like a free warmer for their room or anything, but Scentsy's for everybody, so the kids love it, and it's a way to use your half price rewards. And if you a way to reward your host, and then whoever that contact is, they usually, if you like pull it off professionally, and if you show them that they can make money with it and you're helpful for them and you keep in good contact with them and they've had no issues, then they're going to keep coming back to you for fundraisers. So that's really important that you really treat them good. And then a lot of times they will end up joining because they see that you've just had this successful fundraiser, and they could be the one benefiting from growing their customer base with that, because they probably know those people more than you do. So that's a little bit of what I generally use and do. So any questions about that, Karen, or do I need to elaborate on anything
I was
else?
like, do you want me to, and I was trying to unmute. No, we do things super similar. And for example, your letter does have the breakdown of how much they can earn, right? So
yeah,
maybe that is of an advantage. I've never had anyone ask for that, so I don't include it. But
I think more so, I kind of include that for consultants, because they get consultants. That's one of those things that they really overcomplicate. Like, how much do I give back to them? And like, like with the scent circles, like I do the $20 each. So they're making 35% profit because I give $7 back per 6-pack. And then I go in and bundle them.
Let's explain that again so that everyone catches that.
Okay.
So you're adding $5 to the price of this. So this is US pricing. You're adding $5 to the cost of the 6-pack. So it's a $20 6-pack. So you are giving them how much back? They're giving them the bonus $5 and
$7 back.
And $2 from your commission.
$2 per 6-pack. Yeah. And then that covers the tax and the shipping on my end too. And I think you're still making like maybe, I can't remember how much.
Yeah, you're still making
like $1 maybe, or little 80 cents or something like that. So that covers your, printing, kind of your time or whatever. But yeah, so I think almost it's like something to make it simple for like the consultants to see, kind of how much they're going to be giving back, because without that, it's kind of confusing. I guess people overthink it because they're like, where does that come from? But whenever you put it in, like, say we sold like 10 6-packs, we would have collected $200, right? My math is not like, I hate math. We would have collected $200, but then we're going to put it in as 10 6-packs. So that's 10 times 15 at $15 for the bundle. So that's 150. So you've collected that extra $5. That's where you can give them the extra.
Yep.
So those are pretty enticing whenever you can show them that they can make that much profit, versus just like, because that's more than we can, generally make or give for like a whole catalog fundraiser. And you can still do the online link for them with that.
Yep. Okay. So, a lot of what we do is super similar. So, my packets look very similar to yours. The only difference, my sheet this is my info sheet. I'll post a copy of it. This is from a fundraiser I did. I just printed a copy that I had in my files. And this is the University of Michigan rugby team that I did November and December 2019. So it just breaks it kind of down and talks about a few things that I make sure I include on this 1-page sheet that goes in with the showcase brochure and the order forms. I talk about what's included, how to order. I like to make them a bit.ly link. So I personalize a link on bit.ly that, like, this was link to order online, HTTP. So it was University of Michigan Rugby Fundraiser was my bit.ly link.
Yeah.
And then I tell them what information I need. Tell them that they have to fill out all the information and that I've highlighted it for you. Like you, I highlight the order forms. If there's information I want filled out, I highlight it. And I tell them that I need that for tax and warranty purposes. Okay. So I really need that because I want to enter that all in the workstation, right? Because I want, when they get online to place an online order with me later or go to Sensi.com, I want that to redirect to me. So I want their information in the system. So as a lead consultant or hire who's been paid a lead consultant or hire the month prior, those orders will come to you if you were the last person that they ordered through. But you have to have, correct me ladies if I'm wrong, you have to have their email address, you have to have their name. Do you have to have their address actually? No, just email? Okay. I do try and get their address though, because I want it for my mailing information. I cover shipping charges for non-online orders, and I make sure that I tell them how to pay. Checks, cash, and all major credit cards accepted. All information is required for credit card, debit card payments, including security code and billing zip code. Please make checks payable to Karen Fettis. Do not make them payable to Sensi. You know how many times I've gotten checks payable to Sensi? I cannot cash those. For information on alternative payment methods such as Zelle, Venmo, Cash App, or Facebook Money, please contact me directly. So, all that information. And again, we're going to share copies of these things with you all. The rest of my packet's very, very similar to yours. A couple pro tips that I would say, highlight the information that you want. I use, we were talking about using these. I feel, okay, so this actually says over here, originally it says organization, student name, contact, order by date, I think. I don't know. I've covered it with a label. I cover this with a label with the information that they need. And I do that so that I don't have to handwrite it over and over. Okay. And if you don't, I did that with my Dymo, but you can do that with like Avery labels as well. It totally works. Other information that I would tell you. Oh, the only other thing that I do include, I include a half sheet of paper that's printed on neon, a color like bright pink, bright lime green, bright yellow. You can buy the neon paper. Um, and it is a reminder that their friends and family that are not local can order online. And then I include a link. Now I include a QR code too, but before I wasn't doing QR codes because nobody was using QR codes, right? But I include a link because I tell them your friends and family can order online. Please share this link on social media. And I do that in a bright neon color because that catches their attention. Make sure that the tax rate is on there. Um, let's see what else. I wrote some notes so I wouldn't forget. Um, be very, very, very careful offering LTOs and like harvest and holiday products. I typically do not include them with my fundraisers. If I include anything, it says these products are available while supplies last and can only be ordered online, because I don't want someone returning an order form September 20th for something that sold out in 20 minutes on September 1st. Okay. So, but if they go online and they try and order and it's gone, it's gone. And I say that because I've been burned in the past on that. So, like, 40 orders for a Christmas warmer that is gone. And if you don't have that contact information, it's really hard to follow up. A couple other pro tips. Often people, like Heather said, don't order the right product. So like they order a scent pack and a fragrance that's not available in, or um, oh yeah, um, I'd like 10 Clean Breeze fragrance flowers. Well, that's great, but we don't have that. So if you don't have that contact information, how are you going to follow up? You can always reach out to the coordinator and they can reach out to the person. Um, I do try and get that information, and then I make it, if I have their contact information, I'll call them, I'll email them, I'll text them, whatever. But I always try and offer an alternative. The closest alternative that I can think of would be this, or this is a close alternative. Would you like to exchange it for this? Or I send them a link, like here are the fragrances, the fragrance flowers available in. What would you like to replace it with? Um, but often I will just say another floral would be, or another spa type fragrance would be. Would this be? Do the best you can with it. And then the same with and that's kind of a big one. If you can't get a response from someone, I go back to the coordinator and say, what would you like me to do? And typically the coordinator says, replace it with the closest thing possible. I notate it on my fundraiser envelope if I've had to make a change. And I'm always willing to exchange it if the customer's unhappy. I've not had that happen. So I also give the coordinator extra order forms, a couple extra packets, PDF of the order form for last minute. I think it's important that the coordinator or organizer of the fundraiser does some kind of kickoff. My most successful fundraisers, the coordinator either talks to the parents or invites me in a non-COVID situation to talk to the parents and kick off the fundraiser. And when I say parents, I'm making the assumption we're talking like youth sports or student council or band or whatever, because the parents in many cases are the ones that are doing the selling. I always don't make assumptions on how much or how little someone will sell. When I think about a fourth grade fundraiser I do every year, some of those fourth grade kids sell $700 or more, and some of them collect the orders themselves. Like the one year I got it back, the depending upon the size of the fundraiser, sometimes I try and include some like felt samples, or we used to have mini testers, things like that. If it's a large fundraiser, you can't do that. It's not feasible. But one year I had a child who had written descriptions of everything that I had sent that he could smell. He'd written his own description of what he thought it smelled like, and that's what he used to sell. And he sold over $700. So, and they were all in his handwriting, So I hear consultants say, I struggled to get 200 PRV, one out of every 12 months. And I inevitably have dozens of kids that sell more than 200 PRV in a 10-day fundraiser that are, elementary school age or middle school age, right? So I think sometimes we limit ourselves. Um, The last thing that I wanted to share with you that I think really makes a difference that I include. This is a pretty basic letter, and I'll share a copy of it with you. You would change it to work with you um, and your group. So when I have a fundraiser out, let's say it's a 2 week fundraiser. At about the 1 week mark in, I send, if it's not a local fundraiser, I put in the mail this letter with some extra sheets of paper. And so this says, Dina, I'm excited to close out your fundraiser and get your Scentsy products delivered to you and your participants as quickly as possible. Thank you for doing the hard work and distributing the packages, educating your students, and reminding them to return the packets on time. Please remind them of the 5 following things. They need to have their names on the envelopes. Um, they must, so this was one that had some little mini testers in it. The envelopes and the mini tester sets must be returned. Now, a large group, you wouldn't do that, obviously. Even in a COVID world, you probably wouldn't do that. And we don't have mini testers anymore. So 3, payments must be included at time of order. Sometimes you'll get a fundraiser back and they're like, oh, we have to pay now. Yeah, you have to pay now. All checks must be made payable to me and not payable to Scentsy, and that has my name. And then this one says all orders that are turned in on time and has the date will be entered into a drawing for a free Scentsy buddy. So depending upon the group, I may do an on-time drawing. Okay. Um, and then I usually have the coordinator draw the name of the person because they know who turned them in on time. There's always some stragglers. And then I've included small flyers for you to hand out to kids. These flyers remind them that the fundraiser is ending and they will need to return their packages. They're a great final push for the fundraiser, and when handed out, they do help bring in the order forms nicely. And then it goes on to tell her what I need her to do when she gets the order forms. So it tells her what she needs to look at. Just take a quick glance at them, make sure that they have their name on it. If not, write the student's name, and then take a quick glance inside and make sure that the checks are made payable to me. So I say, I don't expect you to spend a lot of time on this part, but please glance at each envelope and confirm there is indeed payment enclosed and that the participants have included their name on the outside of the envelopes with their orders tucked inside. Also, please verify check payments are made payable to me um, as indicated in the information and that they aren't made payable to Scentsy. So, and then I include a half sheet, like another neon half sheet page that they're going to hand out that says, just a reminder, the Scentsy fundraiser ends on this day. Please make sure your name is on the packet and any payments made by check are made payable to, and that has my name and not Scentsy. They hand that out, like if it's a school, if like, let's say it's 4th graders, they would put those in the folders to go home or in the backpacks to go home. If it's like, let's say it's a soccer team, they would pass that out at the last practice before the fundraiser was coming back. And it's a visual reminder, and it really does make a difference. When you get the fundraiser orders, we do use a double method of entering the orders. Steve and I sit down and we do all of our fundraisers together. He reads the order form to me. I actually write it down a certain way. And then I read it back to him and he confirms it. It's really easy when you're doing a large fundraiser to miss the fact that something says car bar instead of just bar, Clean Breeze car bar or Clean Breeze Scentsy bar. You don't want to make mistakes. So we do double check everything. And we do the same thing when we're packing up our fundraisers as well. So that's a little bit about how we do our fundraisers. Oh, and then the bags. I thought, Heather, that was a really important point. I also bribe, for lack of a better word, my coordinators that are not local to package and label my products for my fundraisers. And I bribe them with Scentsy product. If I have an $11,000 fundraiser in Northern California and I'm in South Carolina, I need someone to label those and sort it for me. And so it's usually the coordinator, and I bribe them with some of my host rewards, and I send them the labels, everything that they need. But those bags, remember, and I don't know if a lot of new consultants know this because we've been in a COVID world, you can add 10 plastic bags for $1 to your order in the workstation. And that's something that, we don't talk about a lot right now. So that's the kind of thing you need to be thinking of when you're oh wait, I'm putting my order in. I should add some bags to it. So, and then the most important thing is that you follow up. You've got all of these new customers. Um, you've put your hands through a fundraiser on all these people you never would be able to touch otherwise. And if you don't utilize that, if you don't have great customer service, if you don't follow up with them, if you don't reach out and see how they're liking their products, if you don't, send them a thank you or include a thank you in the order, you're missing the whole point of the reason you're doing fundraisers. So I think that's, if you don't take anything else away, please take that away. Like, you get the information from them, um, enter it by their name in the workstation, and then make sure you're providing great customer care on the back end so that they do become lifelong customers. So,
And
what
that's another
questions do you
thing
guys
that I
have?
usually do.
Go
I
ahead.
usually customize like a little postcard, and then I will print it out like at Walgreens or something. And I usually make it like for specific to the organization, like thank you for supporting. Maybe it's the SPCA. You helped us raise. You can put the amount or not. You helped us raise funds, to uh, feed the pets, improve the shelter, whatever, or purchase new sports equipment. And then, like personalize it to whoever you raise funds for. And I like to add like my picture and my info on there, just like a personalized thank you. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything like handwritten, for 100 people, but just like my thank you card,
Hold on, I'm going to
just
make you
for,
big again.
general customers, just like this. Oh gosh, at least you warned me this time. But that's just my thank you card for my customers, like for online orders. And it just says, every order, party hosted, or friend you have sent our way, you're amazing. You're helping our small business thrive and allowing my family and I to, yeah, I just wanted you to know you are so loved and appreciated. I'm so very thankful for you. And it's got my customer info. And I also will, put in a little like information about the warranty, like, thank you for your support. Cincy products have a lifetime warranty. If you have any issues or whatever in the future with your product, contact me, because that's incentive for them to save my info, because they can see, oh, if I do, my warmer will be covered if it stops working. So I need to save this girl's information. And that has happened. So, and then they've reordered. So that's, just like Karen said, like keeping in contact with them. And whenever you add their information in on your workstation, you can add them to your newsletter. I like doing my own newsletter aside from the one that Cincy sends out, but the one that Cincy sends out, I mean, it works too. And just as long as they're getting some kind of contact from you.
Yep. Okay, so a couple of questions in the chat. The bags, what do they look like? They're just clear bags. That's all they are. They're just clear bags. I can't even think what to describe them as. They're just, now they do have, I don't know if we still do. We used to have bags that actually had, oh, see, they look like that. Hold on, I can make you big again.
They are big. They are big. I mean, they hold a warmer and stuff. I have an order here. Hold on.
Oh, see, I made her small. Now I need to make her big again. Here.
Here's an order that I've packaged in them, so you can see how big they are. And then they came in handy for cookie
Girl
season.
Scout
So
cookies.
yeah, because they don't give you anything to bag your cookies in. So I was like, we're gonna need some more of those.
Hey, Sarah.
Here.
How are you?
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
Oh, Google thinks I'm talking to it. See, that's what happens when you live at the beach. You have company. when we lived here before, we had people would book it by the week. The Tinnies would come, the Acres would come, you name it. It was like Jekyll and Roy came. All right, so what questions do you guys have? If you have questions, put them in the chat. Do we confuse
Heather's
you?
answered a lot of these questions along the way. I've noticed.
Perfect.
She's done awesome.
What is Bitly? Bitly is a website that you can use that will shorten or let you customize the URL. So it's, as far as I know, it's free. I don't think I pay for Bitly. I'm pretty sure it's free.
Yeah, I always use the free version. I have like, I don't know if you have one, Karen, but with my domain, I have, Wickless and obx.com, so I can make subdomains. And so I usually set up like a link, like wicklessandobx.com/East Coast Cheer or whatever, and then it goes straight to their party link. But it's easy for them to remember versus,
Just
and
one more.
it kind of helps them ingrain my website into their head.
Yes, for
Wickless and
sure.
OBX. So versus the Bitly, but I do use Bitly sometimes too.
When you were talking about the thank yous that you include, I haven't done a personalized one in a while, but we used to have, I assume we still have the thank you fundraiser thank yous in the Scentsy store. I don't know if we still do or not, but if you put in there how much the group has made, that is eye-opening to your customers when they're thinking about other organizations that need fundraisers. They're like, oh my gosh, they made, let's just pick a number, they made $3,000. Wow, we need a fundraiser for, band. I'm gonna make sure that I contact Heather because Heather made that really easy and everyone loves Scentsy. So let's do one for the band too. Also, when you reach out to these groups for the fundraisers, if they don't get back to you right away, don't think that they aren't still considering it. I've had times where because I talk fundraisers at events, I talk fundraisers to everyone that checks out, I talk fundraisers. It's what I talk about. And I've had groups that I've sent fundraiser information to, and then they've contacted me months later when they've been ready for the fundraiser. I thought they'd forgotten about me, but one year, like 3 or 4 of them contacted me the same week and wanted immediate fundraisers when I thought I was done with fundraising season for the fall holidays. So don't assume that they aren't still pondering it in the back of their heads. So
yes, there is thank you cards still in the store, by the way.
Are they still in there? Good.
Cards. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And I do know someone who made stickers. Unfortunately, I'm not a fundraiser guru like you guys. I want to be, but I'm learning from you guys. But I've seen someone who used stickers that they wrote the information in and just stuck it on their bags.
Yeah, that would totally work. Totally work. I always do an online link too, Jackie, because for the same reason, there's always someone who isn't local. Grandma lives out of town. Aunt Julie lives out of town. I always do an online link because, and that's the last thing I was going to say. When I'm offering the fundraiser, I always ask the organization, do they want me to track it by participant? Like, for example, if a 6th grade class is going to science camp for 2 days and each kid has to raise $150, I'm willing to track that by student. So what do you do with those online orders? Well, I send an email to anyone that orders online and say, thank you so much for supporting so-and-so, that, the whatever Sonoma elementary school fundraiser, middle school fundraiser. What student would you want? What student were you supporting that you would like to receive credit for your order? Okay. And then just keep a list. Or if they are placing an online order, sometimes I will encourage the group to use that second address line if they aren't already using that for their address. Like say they don't have an apartment number or something like that, they can put the student's name or the participant's name in that second address line, and then it'll show up. It won't alter the address of where the order goes, but then I can see that on my end. So, all right. Well, if we don't have any questions, we talked a long time. Thank you for your grace on that tonight. Next week, we are talking about scent crates. We have Debbie Stewart, who's going to share. And I don't know what she's up to. I know she's aiming for 100 of them a month. So she does her own. So she's going to share how she does it. She's going to share all the things. So, and then the week after that, we have Tracy DeMario is going to talk about events. And Tracy is an events guru for sure. So, All right. Have a good night, you guys.